Yes. So I will explain you how we uh, send the data as a JSON format. Okay. So if you want to send the data as a JSON structure, we usually do key value pair mapping. Okay. Key value pair mapping. Like see, the keys should be in the double quotes with respect to the column and then value. So if you want to pass again next value, we usually do the same procedure like uh, in between the double quotes, we will pass the key and then column and then value. Okay, and ending with the array. So this is the single JSON guys. Okay, if you want to pass, if you want to pass multiple values in the JSON, like array of values, like array of arrays, we usually use the square braces. Okay. Yeah, this is how we will pass multiple, uh, I mean, multiple rows of data. Okay, by using the square braces. So this is how we usually actually pass the JSON data to the APIs. So before creating the APIs, we do have two functions, guys. Okay, I will quickly explain those two functions. So we have from JSON and to JSON. Like that, we have two functions are there in our APN, like and to JSON. Okay. So now if you can see here, so now, yeah, coming with the from JSON. So what will it do? It will convert the JSON string. See here, if you can see here, it will convert the JSON string into APN value. Okay. So before using this function, I will show you the JSON string in a expression output. Okay. So when we test this out, yeah, this is the JSON data guys. Okay. Coming as a dictionary format because of key value pairing. Yeah. Yep. Okay. JSON data. uh, yeah, this is how guys see. This is how it looks like. So when we run the same thing in our expression, it will comes like a dictionary format. Okay. So now, so if we use the same JSON in our function called from JSON, so let's execute this. This is not a valid JSON, right? So this is the dictionary format type of database. Okay. So now what we can do? So for we will do like we will convert this text to the dictionary to the JSON guys. Okay. So to convert a dictionary format of data, key value pairing of data into the JSON format, we will use the toJSON function. So it usually do converts a value into the JSON string. Like that it will actually do. So now what we usually do now. So now we have converting our key value pair structured data into the JSON format. See now if you can see the type should be the text here. This is the text. So but it was the format like a JSON guys because everything would be the same key value pairing. But if you can see it is encoded with the double quotes. It was encoded with the double quotes. That's it. So now you have the JSON string. This is the JSON string. So now if you want to convert this JSON string into the APN value like dictionary format, So what we usually do, we usually do the from JSON function. So what will it do? It will convert the JSON structure into Appian value. This is the dictionary format because we have not used the map, right? So if you use the map, it will be a type of the map type, but we simply declared in the array, right? Um, so now it will be output type as a dictionary format while using the from JSON. So yeah, this is what guys. From JSON and to JSON we are using to convert and to the Appian value, convert to the JSON string. Okay. So now, yeah. So for accessing, okay, for accessing our Appian URLs, Appian web API URLs, we need a authentication. Okay. So there are two types of authentications are there, guys. Okay. Accessing the API URLs, we do have two ways of authentication are possibilities, guys. One is the basic authentication. Okay. So this is the possible way, but it is not a recommended way. It is not the recommended way because while using the basic authentication, what we usually do, we have to provide the username of the environment. So while accessing this environment, I am providing my username, right? So to log in into this environment. So same like that, if you want to access the URLs, you have to provide your username of the environment and the password. So then it will take your credentials and it will run the URLs. So yeah, this is called the basic authentication. So we do have one more authentication called API key authentication, guys. So this is the frequently used authentication and this is the recommended way of authentication, guys. Okay, API key authentication. In this authentication, we have to pass the header name. Okay, header name and the key value, API key value. API key value we have to provide, guys. Okay. So what are those details? I will provide those details, guys. Yeah. Yeah. So we have the definitions as well. So now this is the header name, guys. Okay. This is the header name API, APN hyphen API hyphen key. This is the header name. This is the API key. Okay. This is the API key for this environment. Okay. So I will show you where you will generate the basic authentications and API key authentication. So basic authentication is nothing but creating a user, right? So when you created a user, you have to provide the username and temporary password. When the user login into the environment, he will change to the permanent password with the same username. So those credentials are nothing but the basic authentication. So where you will generate the API key authentication. So guys, if you want to generate the API key authentication, you have to go admin console. In the admin console, we have the web API authentication tab is available. So if you can see here, web API key authentication. Under authentication tab, we have the web API key authentication, right? Web API authentication. So under this, we have the new option is there. Okay, it's loading. So if you can see here, here we can convert the API keys. Sorry, we can create the API keys, guys. So these are all already created API keys. Okay. These are all already created API keys. So if you want to generate a new API key, you can simply select the click here with the new create button. So while creating the API key, it will ask you to provide the service account name. See, description, whatever the description you want to generate this API key for, so you can provide the description here. So service account user you have to provide. So all API keys must be associated with the user in the service account group. These users are prevented from login into the APN. So this is the highlighted point, and every interviewed asked question, most asked question. Okay. So guys, see. So yeah. So here, while generating the API key, you have to provide the username. Okay. So you have to provide the user. So which user it will take? If I provide my name, it won't come up here. See, this is the user which is currently active in this environment. So I was trying to search this user here. I was trying to search the username same which I was trying to log in, but no results are found. Okay, so I will show you which users are available to generate the API key. So guys, we have the service account group is there. Okay, see service accounts group. So if you can see here, members of this group can be associated with the API keys and OAuth 2.0 clients, but cannot log in into the APN. Cannot log in into the APN. So these users who are part of this service account group, those users are can't be able to log in into the APN environment because this is the default group for the environment, guys. This is we have not generated group by anyone. So this will be provided by the APN itself while establishing the environment. So these service accounts are strictly not allowed to log in into the environment. Okay. So if I add myself into this service account group, I can't be able to log in into this environment. Yeah. If you can see here, Mustafa. Mustafa is there, right? There is the username, yeah, Mustafa.j. So we will search the same user here. Okay. We can search here. Yeah, Mustafa.j. See, this user is available to create the API key. So from here, via this link as well, you can navigate to the service account group. Okay, instead of going to the all objects tab and search for the service account, you can see directly click on this hyperlink and you can navigate to the creating a new API key associated with some service account users. Okay. So now what will we create the API key? So if you can create API key, so it will generate the API key like this, guys. So this is how it will look like. So it will be completely alphanumeric text. Okay. So once we generate the API key for this environment, we can reuse the API key wherever, whenever you want to use. Okay. It will have no expiry and it will not be restricted to access the URLs. See, this is how it will look like, guys, when you created the API key. So using this API key only, we will access our APN URLs. Okay. So now, yeah. Now,
Means in a service account, uh, whoever is not having the access of the APN, that users you can add it, right?
yeah, yes. Those who are not able to access this environment or not able to log in environment, they will use our APN URLs, web API URLs by a authentication called API key authentication. So I will show you once we generate the APN URLs, web API URLs, how we will get the data from the APN with the third party system. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So now we have in web API, we have seen to JSON. So converting to the JSON format from JSON, converting the JSON value into the APN, right? So we have few more keywords you have to know while creating the path web APIs. Okay, we have path variables, query parameters, headers, and this is nothing but the authentication and the web APIs. Okay. So mainly what is meant by the web API, guys. So I have explained you the outlines now, right? So I will explain you the what is meant by the web API. So web API, which is nothing but which is allowing the third party system like web API. Mm, 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 mm. So customer data is there. Mortgage the application data, structured format JSON, form submitted, call to start process web API upon the submission. Here some new customer data to start a process with. Start a process web API and APN process model start write data notification zones invoking a web API. So yes, in a web API invoking a web API indication best example I want. Okay, in the APN architecture. Uh, Image again, designer, risk management, embedded sites. So here, okay, web APIs under integrations. If you can see here, web APIs, APN access and data services and service accounts and OpenAI. So guys, what I want to convey here it is. So when the external system want to see the APN data, okay, or else want to push the data into the APN, without login into the APN environment, we usually do the web APIs, guys. Okay. So see, assume this is the external system. They're trying to send the data to the APN. Okay. So we will provide our APN URLs and the methods in which method they can be able to access it. Like that, we usually send and trying to get the data from the request. Okay, how we will receive the data and how we will post the data. Let's see now. Okay, so mainly the purpose of creating the web API is to allow a third-party system or else external system. Okay, there will be the two-way communication, guys. So so now the external system is trying to communicate with the APN through the web APIs. Okay, so when you create a web API, you will specify the record type the API will query and the name of the APN object and the endpoint. Yeah, and the point we will discuss, guys. No need to worry. So web API permissions like service account gives you the permission to the web API to the view the data and performance actions in the APN. So what service account user API key will do is it gives the permission to web API to view the data and perform the actions in the APN. This service account selected when you created a web API for the API key. Yes, that's true. So now I added few more points here. So if you can see. Mm, yes. A web API provide a way to expose the APN data to the third-party system or external system. So yeah, each API key associated with the URL HTTP required method combination, guys. Okay, these are all the RESTful services we can say. Now I will explain REST by the SOAP as well. You don't need to worry. Yeah. Mm, yes. See. So guys, yeah. So while accessing the URLs, there are two types of requests we can raise this. Okay. So one is the REST. Okay. REST in the sense. So this will be useful for sending the data. Okay. So now REST is the latest, guys, and SOAP is the very old. Okay. These are the two types of requests we can raise. Okay. So like so if you are passing the data as a JSON format, right? I will start with the uh, uh, definition, full definition for the rest, and then we'll go for the what the differences between them, both of them. Okay. So mainly REST is used to providing the HTTP methods, guys. Okay. So HTTP methods like when we used to get the data, post the data, or update the data or delete the data, we will use the REST methods. Okay. So we usually do all these things via JSON format only. So REST refers to the representational state transfer protocol. Okay. Um, Second, yeah, presentational protocol. Okay. So SOAP is nothing but simple object access protocol. Okay. So when we want to tries with the different types of methods, we usually do the REST we can say like this was the latest, guys. SOAP it is earlier we used before the REST comes. So it is also protocol for exchanging the data as a XML data type of format, guys. Like when we was exchanging the information I will add here uh, exchanging the information between the systems using the XML format, guys. XML is nothing but I will explain you. Yes. So XML format in the sense XML schema definition we have, guys. So whenever we have downloaded the CDT, right? XSD. So that is are all the XML format of data. Okay. So I will show you. That is the XML format data, guys. You can see here download XSD. Yeah, these are all the XML format type of data we are passing the request, guys. Okay, this is comes under the SOAP requests. Okay, so now if you come with the RESTful services, so it was like we usually use the JSON format data to JSON format of data to send the requests, guys. Okay, so what are the key highlights between them is the So it will REST will use the HTTP methods, guys. Okay, HTTP requests like GET request, POST request, or PUT request. Okay. So for the SOAP, we have the different standards and the different structured, well-structured ways. Only we need to access it. Okay. So coming to the RESTful services, those are easy to implement. So now whatever the API URLs we are generating, right? Those comes under the REST only, guys. Okay. So these are the major importance we can say. So without wasting your time, guys, we will quickly create the APIs. So those are the insights and highlights of the API before creating the web API. Okay. So while create after creating the web API, I will show you what is meant by path variables, query parameters, headers. Okay, and we have the request body as well. So I will show you when it will come the request body and when will it not come the request body in the API. Okay, so now if you want to create a web API, so what you need to do, you have to select this new option. Under this new option, we have the web API tab is object is there. Okay, so we have two ways to create a web API, guys. Okay, if you want to generate the code by the API itself, you can use the select a template option here. Okay, using the select a template option here, there are few categories are there. So the basic categories like the web API URL will generate the hello world JSON and XML basic format of data it will return. So if you select hello world, it will return uh, URL output as a hello world only. If you select JSON or XML, it will return that type of data. Okay. So if you want to upload a document, download a document, so we usually use the template called document templates. Okay. So if you want to query the data from a record data type, record the data source or else the query data source, you can use this query template. Okay. If you want to insert a new row, you can use the start process to start your process or the using directly write records function or write to data store entity function. You can insert a new row into the respective data source. Or else, if you want to delete the existing row, you can use this type of three options called cancel process, delete from data store, and delete from records. So these operations we will create from APN, but we will provide them the whatever the method type and the endpoint URL and the authentication details. Okay. So firstly, we will go with the select a template option. Later, I will show create from scratch. Okay. So we'll start with the T4 hello world, T4 underscore API, API hello world. So the description it is providing. So description you want to provide, you can provide. So here it is asking for the actually if you have not selected the template, if you go for create from scratch, it will ask you to select the method, guys. Okay. It will ask you to select the method. But we are selecting the template, right? The template itself, it is a get method. Okay, so get method, and if you want to pass endpoint, so you can pass like T4 hello world, like this is the endpoint, guys. So what will it do? It will usually so consider this is the base URL. Okay, consider this is the base URL. So this is what I have copied, right? So the copied one is the base URL. So the endpoint will concatenate with the URL end. Mm. So this is the endpoint, guys. Okay. So this URL will be concatenated to the base URL if we provide the endpoint. So if you are not providing the endpoint and if you will make this as a blank, so a random alphanumeric text will be get generated and it will be concatenated to your base URL by the APN itself. Okay. So the HTTP request and logging to this web API is if you enable this, you can while external system trying to hit the URL, so you can be able to see the logs in the server itself. Okay. So you don't need to worry about this. So logs, whatever their system logs there itself, you can able to see the information for this URL when they are trying to access our APN URL. Okay. So now we have provided the endpoint. The defaultly we have selected the HTTP method, right? So now we will create a API. So when you create a API, so we have to provide the object level security as well. So now we'll go with the administrator. So we have the, for the administrator, we have the administrator access. For the users, we are providing the viewer access. Other than that administrator and viewer, we have the editor permission as well. Okay. So yeah. So the basic users must have viewer permission, rights to web API in order to execute it. Okay. So now clicking on save option here. So the API is created. Okay. The API is now got created. So now if you can see here, so this is the object, guys. When you open the object, this is how it will look like. So there is no inputs tab here, only editor tab, suggestion tab, and the uh, this is the ad hoc inputs and path variables and the method type and the request body tab. Okay. So now if you can see here, so in the editor, so firstly go with the restrictions, guys. So in the editor, expression editor, if you want to pass more than 4,000 lines of code, 4,000 characters, I guess. Control Z. Mm, we need a code with 4,000 characters. Okay. So these are the commented codes. So that's why I guess. See, guys. So in the web API expression editor may not be longer than 4,000 characters.